Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm ForClassic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have needed is Werewolf, the Apocalypse Earthblood, a game developed by Cyanide Studio, and it is using Unreal Engine 4. So Cyanide Studio, these guys are the developers of Bloodborne 2, and they decided to come out with this. So without losing more time, this is the settings that I do recommend and the settings that I will be using throughout the video. So it's 720p high settings. This is my personal recommendation because it's a good balance between quality and performance. So let's check it out. First, the requirements for the game. So these guys don't ask that much. They just ask like a 4GB of RAM and a GTX 650 or an AMD Radeon HD 7790 with 1GB of VRAM. This is not much, and those GPUs are old and weak. So, and if you look to the performance results that I did got without recording, 720p low settings, it seems like a good setting if you want to target 60 frames per second, despite it's not sustainable, so which means that it will drop eventually under 60 frames per second in many occasions though. 720p medium and high settings, it is a good balance between 30 to 60 frames per second, so if you are fine with that, you should go with either medium or a high. And 720p maximum settings, it is a good setting to go above 30 frames per second, but I could notice like some small drops here and there, nothing special, but I'm a little bit concerned that in forward levels, if the game gets more demanding, those drops might be, you know, bigger, and that's why I can't recommend. So if you go with 900p median settings, supposedly that you want to play at higher resolution, unfortunately those drops under 30 frames per second gets more pronounced. So my minimums in here, it was 25 frames per second, and that was already dropping 10% of the time under 30 frames per second. Again, it seems like not being a big deal, but if forward levels gets more demanding than this, 900p median might spend a lot more time under 30 frames per second than you really wanted. So for me, the best settings, if you want to target something in between 30 to 60, in my opinion, it is 720p high settings. But if you care about 60 frames per second, you can go with 720p low settings. The low settings doesn't look that bad, but you lose a lot of stuff that will make this game to look dull already. This game doesn't look really something from the 2021 when it comes to visuals, but I still think that it is really acceptable because I'm not really that graphics though. So let's now talk about the game, because this game came out of nowhere. I didn't knew about its existence, and I saw some gameplay and I decided that I wanted to test this game, and so here we are today. Let's talk about the game itself. Well, so this game, it isn't being very well received. Metacritic score, it is pretty much in between 50 to 60, so it's a very reasonable game, alright? And it is an Epic Store exclusive, so for the most part, I think for all the Epic Store haters, this is not a good thing. So at some point, this is not a big loss if you wanted to play this game, because it's not about the score, it's about the game. The game looks a lot like an old school game, and usually for me that is a good thing. I like old school games that resembles games from the 2000s. I like the gameplay from that era. Unfortunately, this game, despite it shares that type of gameplay, it is simple, like I do like it, but it is way too much. So this game focuses a lot in stealth. It is filled with tons of rooms where you can go stealthy like, and you can kill enemies from behind, just like, you know, pretty much all the games out there that uses stealth. And eventually you might be discovered and you transform into a werewolf and you kick ass and kill all the enemies. It isn't really that challenging, and it is pretty easy. And when those moments kick in, I do really enjoy, because the combat feels nice, despite, again, it is pretty simple. You are using always the same type of moves, and the enemies are mostly just the same. They introduce one enemy or two throughout the game, but that's about it. You get like a new level, a new enemy, but essentially the type of game, it is pretty much the same. You know, the objective of the game, it is always infiltrate some kind of laboratory or factory, and they all looked pretty much the same if you ask me. It's like rinse and repeat all over again. You are just doing entirely all the same things over and over and over again with the similar environments, but they just introduce you know, new type of enemies from time to time. And for example, mech warrior enemies, like, they are usually more challenging, but any other enemy like regular human enemies, they are usually just easy to kill. So if you can't play decently in stealth mode, or you just don't have patience, you can just transform yourself into a werewolf and kick ass and kill all the enemies in the room, and that's it. And that's a nice thing, because I do enjoy the combat style, but I do think that it falls short in some parts, because it doesn't offer, you know, too much moves. The enemies are just not really defying, and like I did told you, it is doing what you do inside the game. It is do all the stuff all over again, so it is short. I understand that it is a budget title, but still, I was expecting that Cyanide could pull at least something more diverse, you know, because I think what they did accomplish, it was fine, but I think that they needed more more stuff, different stuff, more type of scenarios, and the story, it isn't really a great thing if you ask me. So I think that's all that I want to talk about Werewolf, Earthblood. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the gameplay, which is where this game gets interesting, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
I can see Ludmilla!
Call. Tell 80.
No! Please, no!
It's me, Cahal. Listen to me! Cahal, damn it! No. You need to fight the rage. Cahal, that's Rafik! Stop it! No!
What have I done? Rafik!
There's no time to mourn. We need to go.